friends and neighbors. For those that follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you may know that I love to wear brooches. I have a few, and currently they just kind of sit in a pile on my vanity. And I was looking for ways to display them to where I could see them and also protect them a little bit from bumping against each other. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Is I'm going to be making a brooch display for my vanity. For this project, I'll be using an 8x10 frame. I believe these are $5. I bought it at Walmart. This one was on clearance for $4. And then I'm going to be using a fabric. This one will be the display fabric. This will be what you'll see. Then the next thing we need is some kind of filling, some kind of fluff. I have this scrap fabric and it's pretty thick and fluffy, so I'm going to use it. I would say you could also use like a quilting batting. I think that would probably work well too. And then I have some brooches here that I'm going to put on it, and I got my heaviest brooch. That'll be the real tester as to if it's going to hold up. And you also need a glue gun and some scissors. The first thing we're going to do is open our frame and remove the glass. We do not need to use the glass for this project. I will use it later as a template to cut my fabric, but that's it. You can use it for another project, or I have like a little tote and I will put the glass in the tote just in case one of my picture frames fall and the glass breaks. I can replace it, because that does happen, especially with 3 kids in the house. That has happened a time or two, so I keep extras. And I'm just going to take the fabric. Unfortunately, the fabric I'm using is scrap fabric and it just wasn't wide enough to completely cover the backing, so I'm going to use 2 different pieces, and I'm going to overlap them in the center, and the center where it's going to be the thickest will be where I put my heaviest brooches. And you want to make sure that whatever filling that you're going to be using, whatever fluff, is not going to show through your front fabric. Now, one thing I would have done different about the hot glue, if you're only using like 1 layer of stuffing, I would only glue around the edges. I wouldn't glue the whole thing like I did. And if you're overlapping like I am, the second piece I would only glue the top and the bottom, because all the glue that's in the center, if the pin of the brooch hits the glue, it kind of stops it right there. So to keep the fabric loose, I would use the glue sparingly and just glue the edges really good. Now with the fluff, the filling, I cut it to the exact size of the backing, because with this frame in particular, the back would not close. It would be too thick if I tried to wrap it around. So I cut it to the exact size. And then for the front fabric, I'm just going to lay it out, and I'm going to put the glass insert on top just to measure. I do want extra overhang because I will be wrapping this around the back, so I am leaving extra. It's thin enough that the frame will close with it wrapped around. And you also want to test it. Some fabrics take better to pin sticks than others. Some you can put a brooch on, and when you take it off, you rub your finger over the fabric and the hole kind of disappears. And others, the hole will remain visible. So you may want to test it before you cut it and use it for this project. Now with this frame from Walmart, you can see the way it opens, it's like a hinge. So on the fourth side, I could not wrap the fabric around it without cutting and removing it. So what I ended up doing, if you're using a frame like this, you can kind of see that there is a gap between the frame and the backing. If you pull it out ever so slightly, there's a tiny little gap. And I'm just gonna take, I took one of my small crochet hooks, but you could use a yarn needle, a butter knife, anything small, and I just pushed the fabric into that little gap. And once you close the frame, it pinches in between there, and it's pretty secure, so you don't have to worry about it coming undone. So I just pushed all the fabric in there, and then for the other three sides, I wrapped it around and hot glued it to the back. And I pulled it a little bit tight. I wanted to try to get the wrinkles out of it and give the brooches a sturdy place to be pinned. With mine, since my frame, the back of it will be facing the wall and it won't be seen, I didn't worry about the extra fabric. I didn't trim it away or anything. And I almost positioned it to where it was too short on the bottom, but as long as there was enough fabric to fold over and glue down, it's fine. And then I just secured it with little tabs. I kind of had to push it down just a little bit and lift the tab up to get it to go over the fabric, but it was no issue. And the last thing I did is I just put my brooches on. First I just slid them on there so I could see how it looked. I did go back and I just put them on and clipped them just like I would on my shirt or dress. And some of the smaller ones, like the little butterfly, it's so light, I didn't have to clip it. I just slipped it on. But I love the way it turned out. It turned out better than I expected. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it was a quick video today, but I thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.